The Dark Side of the UK. Chapter 1. The Image of Britain. When people around the world think of the United Kingdom, they imagine the shining lights of London, the Queen's crown, red buses, Big Ben, and the rolling green hills of the countryside. Britain is painted as a place of tradition, order, politeness, and history. But beyond the postcard image lies another reality, a harsher, darker side. Behind the castles and palaces are broken estates. Behind the smiles of tourists in London are rough sleepers in the cold. Behind the pride of history is the weight of inequality. I moved to the UK with these bright pictures in mind. But what I found was something else. Chapter 2. Life in the Estates. My first home was in East London, in a public housing estate. The buildings were tall, grey, and tired. The lifts often broke. The stairwells smelled of smoke and urine. Children played football in small concrete squares, but danger was always near. Teenagers wore hoodies, carrying knives, looking for trouble. Sirens echoed almost every night. For families living here, life was a cycle of survival. Parents worked long hours for minimum wage. Young people often dropped out of school, caught between boredom and gangs. The government called these social housing areas. The people who lived there called them the ends. For many, it was a trap. Hard to leave, harder to rise above. Chapter 3. Homelessness and Broken Dreams. Walking through central London, you see wealth everywhere. Luxury stores, expensive restaurants, tourists taking photos. But just steps away, in doorways and under bridges, lie the homeless. I will never forget a man named Peter I met near King's Cross. He had been a builder, lost his job, then lost his home. His eyes were tired, his beard unkempt, his hands cracked from cold. "No one sees us," he told me. "They walk past as if we're ghosts." Britain promised welfare, support, safety nets, but many fell through the cracks. Homelessness grew and shelters overflowed. The dream of stability shattered for thousands. Chapter 4. The Class Divide. Britain has always been a nation of classes. At the top are the wealthy, politicians, bankers, celebrities, royalty. They live in mansions, send their children to private schools, and holiday abroad. At the bottom, ordinary workers struggle to pay bills, ride packed buses, and rely on food banks. One of my friends, Mary, worked full-time in a supermarket, but still visited a food bank every week. "I work," she said, "but it's not enough. Rent eats everything." The gap between rich and poor in the UK was not just about money. It was about power, opportunity, and voice. And the poor had little of all three. Chapter 5. Racism and Immigration Struggles. The UK was built on immigration. From the Windrush generation to workers from Asia, Africa, and Eastern Europe, migrants shaped the country. But racism still lived in the shadows, and sometimes in the open. I met Aisha, a British-born woman of Pakistani heritage. She told me how people shouted, "Go back home," at her in the street. "I am home," she said, her eyes full of hurt. Immigrants were often blamed for problems, jobs, housing, even crime. Politicians used fear to win votes. The dream of multicultural unity was real in some places, but the scars of prejudice never fully healed. Chapter 6. The Knife Crime Epidemic. One of the darkest truths of the UK was the rise of knife crime. Every week, headlines screamed of teenagers stabbed in London, Birmingham, Manchester. Mothers cried over children lost too soon. Communities lived in fear. I met a boy named Jamal, only 16, who carried a knife. "Everyone does," he said. "If I don't, I'm the victim." It was a cycle of fear. Gangs offered protection, belonging, and fast money. But they also offered prison or death. Knife crime was not just about weapons. It was about broken homes, poverty, lack of hope, and young lives with nowhere to turn. Chapter 7. The NHS and Broken Systems. The UK was proud of its National Health Service, the NHS. It was free. It was for everyone. It was the jewel of Britain. But behind the pride were cracks. Hospitals overcrowded. Waiting lists stretched for months. Nurses underpaid and exhausted. I met an old man, Henry, who waited 18 months for a hip operation. By the time he got it, his health had worsened. The NHS showed the best of Britain's values, but also the struggles of a system breaking under pressure. Chapter 8. Politics, Corruption, and Broken Promises. Politics in the UK was supposed to serve the people, but often it felt like a game of power. Brexit showed the deep divisions. Politicians argued, leaders resigned, promises were broken. Ordinary people were left with confusion, rising prices, and uncertainty. Corruption scandals appeared in headlines. Money misused, contracts given to friends, leaders caught lying. The people voted, marched, shouted, but often felt unheard. Democracy was there, but trust was fading. Chapter 9. The Silent Suffering. One of the darkest sides of the UK was not visible on the streets. It was inside homes, behind closed doors. Loneliness, depression, suicide. Despite the crowds, many felt alone. The pressure to look strong, to keep calm and carry on, meant silence. I met a young man, Daniel, who had tried to take his life. "I had no one to talk to," he said. "In Britain, you just keep it inside." Mental health services were underfunded. Waiting lists long. Many suffered in silence, unseen, unheard. Chapter 10. Hope in the Shadows. And yet, in the middle of all this darkness, there was light. Volunteers ran food banks. Neighbors organized community patrols to protect youth from gangs. Teachers stayed after hours to mentor struggling students. I met a woman named Grace who ran a youth center in Birmingham. She said, "We can't wait for the government. We have to save our own kids." The dark side was real, but so was the fight against it. Ordinary people, not politicians, not the wealthy, were the true heroes. Chapter 11. Two Britons. After years in the UK, I learned this truth. There are two Britons. One is the Britain of history, wealth, beauty, and tradition. The other is the Britain of struggle, pain, and survival. They live side by side. The tourist may see Buckingham Palace, but not the hungry child in the estate nearby. The world may see the crown, but not the scars of poverty. The UK is not just light, not just darkness. It is both. And to love it, you must see it whole.